Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So, after Nancy Pelosi had announced taking a trip to Taiwan, the U.S. military began sending at least one aircraft carrier group to the region, though implications are that there are far more military vessels building up around Taiwan. This increases tensions even further than ever. As of today, Pelosi was allowed to land in Taiwan. The Chinese could have forced her to land on the mainland, but did not do so. They said that they could respond militarily to her visit, but did not say they would do so. This does remain a possibility. With consistent U.S. aggressive behavior, it seems unlikely that the U.S. will back down. The U.S. does not have the ability to de-escalate any situation more than U.S. police have that ability. One partial claim of the reasons for Pelosi's visit has to do with microchip processing by Taiwan and securing American supply of microchips. This ignores one major fact. Microchip manufacturing in Taiwan relies heavily on minerals which are received from, can you guess? That's right, China. If Taiwan declares independence from China, then China will simply stop providing the minerals that Taiwan needs to produce chips, bringing production to a near halt and driving up the cost considerably. Of course, China is the largest microchip manufacturer in the world. Taiwan is number 2. The U.S. military relies heavily on microchips. Honestly, if this continues to escalate, if I were China, I would do one thing. Send in ground troops, announced in advance, with one purpose. Seize every finished microchip in every foundry on the island. Load them onto ships bound for the mainland, along with all of the machinery and documentation for production. Then demolish the foundries. Any claims that the U.S. espouses that their concern regarding Taiwan is for the safety or human rights of the people is an overt lie. It is as genuine as the humanitarian interventions in Libya, Syria, Iraq, Chile, Yemen, and on and on. There have not been any claims of human rights abuses levied against China in Taiwan. If they say it has to do with trade, that is also false. China does not place any limits on trade with Taiwan. Most of Taiwan's trade is with China. U.S. trade with China accounts for only 14.7% of Taiwan's exports, while China accounts for over 28.2%. The majority of the remainder is with other Asian countries, all of whom also trade with mainland China. This is about the U.S. trying to dominate the Asian market, something China will not allow. If pushed, most Asian countries will side with China, not the U.S. Even Korea relies heavily on exports and imports with China and Taiwan, Taiwan being part of China. Over 90%, around 95% of the Taiwanese people do not want to secede from China, for a good reason, as you can see from what I've already stated. The U.S. and Europe cannot replace the level of trade revenue that China offers. If they could, they would have done so already. To claim that this is a possibility has as much truth as claiming the U.S. could replace Russian oil and gas with Europe. We've already seen how that has played out. What I'm really hoping to see happen is, with Pelosi on the island, for the Taiwanese people to conduct a general strike across the island, then hold the largest peaceful protest in Taiwan's history, telling her to go home and never come back. That would be the absolute best outcome for any of this and would settle the Taiwan issue permanently. If tensions keep rising with Taiwan, with the people being placed at risk of warfare, I am somewhat expecting a mass uprising to happen there. It is entirely possible the people will overthrow the anti-China regime and install a new China-friendly government. They would sustain the one government, two systems arrangement with no bombs or tensions involved. The U.S. would continue trade out of necessity, at least for a while. One should note that the U.S. is attempting to increase microchip production, which will eventually destroy the major trade between the U.S. and Taiwan, leaving them destitute. The U.S. will attempt to increase microchip production even more using militaristic threats and sanctions against Taiwan, even if Taiwan did separate from China, in an effort to force other countries to purchase microchips made in the U.S. instead of Taiwan. This is how the U.S. operates. These are things which can be easily predicted. As a final note, the Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group is now positioned off the coast of Taiwan. There are several things to think about here. Everything about Pelosi's visit and the positioning of the carrier group is definitely a provocation. Remember that China has hypersonic missiles. One hypersonic missile with no warhead would cut through an aircraft carrier like butter. Place a conventional warhead on that missile, and it would atomize a significant portion of that carrier. China would be well within their rights to launch a strike against the carrier and ground all air traffic, keeping Pelosi on the island permanently. Even if all the jets on the carrier launched before it sank, where would they go? The range of any fighter jet on the carrier has barely the range to reach South Korea. None would be able to reach Japan. If fully loaded and or engaged in defensive maneuvers because of Chinese fighters, they would deplete all of their fuel before reaching South Korea. Their reception would not be so good in the Philippines or Vietnam. So that would be the list of options. None of this even accounts for the ship's crews, though it is more likely China would encircle the carrier group if pushed to that. I don't really expect China to do anything that aggressive. The fact is, I expect Pelosi to be allowed to leave peacefully, in which case it will be portrayed in Western media as some sort of sign of U.S. superiority. What happens between Beijing and Taiwan after that is deeply in question, as the regime in Taiwan has now allowed this to go too far for China to realistically tolerate. So we're going to have to wait and see just what China's response is, but they have made it clear they're not happy. So let's wait and see what happens today and tomorrow, because it is not going to take long for a response to come. They have already voiced their displeasure, but they haven't taken any action as yet. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign, and I will catch you in the next one.